I've tested over 130 Max for Live devices to see how far I can push Ableton Live into being the ultimate music making tool. Some of them can hack music theory, write melodies, spark ideas, or speed up your workflow. And some can make you question every live choice that led you to clicking on them. So, I squeezed everything actually useful, fun, and worth your lunch money into this video. Yes, Max for Live devices are usually way cheaper than plugins that do basically the same thing. But first, let's start with some free ones. The idea of Sting, a synth-based pattern generator, has been around for a while now. If you're watching this after updating to Live 12.3, now you have access to its MIDI tool version. The idea is stupid simple. Create a new empty MIDI clip by pressing Command-Shift and M, and then here in Generate tab, find Sting. And now use the same known controls to generate pattern. So let's click Generate. And already we have something cool, although I think this pattern needs to be an octave above. We can close the gate to make the notes a little bit shorter. But I guess for this particular bass sound, the longer the better. That's what she said! I guess the most ethical thing to do is to click generate and then change few notes to your likings. That way, haters who live in their mom's basement will have less reasons to call you fake musician. I will explain why I copied the generated pattern with another device a bit later, but first, let's talk about another MIDI generator from If the Pack. Patterns let you generate, well, drum patterns. And the execution is really spot on. You can either go with default mappings and play samples on corresponding drum pads, or you can change notes to whatever you have inside your drum rack. Let's switch off the generation of kick, snare, and clap since I don't have anything here either way. And now focus on generating only hi-hat sounds. The only thing I miss here is the option to change velocities while generating, so let's bring up the velocity manually. You can then generate kick and snare pattern, but what I like to do is to change the timing a bit, so let's switch that to 1/8 and then press generate. But of course, if you're brave enough, you can just switch on all the tiles here and then generate everything at once. For a quick comparison, I actually stumbled upon the device that does the same thing, but it's paid. And to be fair with you, the execution of this one is, to be fair, pretty bad. You can change a few patterns, but they don't seem anything different. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but paying for that if you have a free version makes no sense. Okay, but let's get back to the pattern we made. The reason I copied it 3 times is this free device. Once you put it on a group, you can smoothly switch between audio or MIDI clip inside this group. Obviously, it's a little bit manual and doesn't make sense at first, but once you pair it with LFO, and what I like to do is to change it to random, change the rate to, I guess, 1/8, then map the LFO to direction. Obviously, the more MIDI or audio clips you have, the better. So I actually prepared something. Here I have 6 different drop loops and this device on the group. And let's just hit play and see what it comes with. Full credit for this method goes to Sidebrain, and speaking of our favorite Ableton tutor, he came up with a device that solved the biggest issue of all Max for Live MIDI generators. Whether you're using the stock ARP, Expressive Chords, or any of the generative devices I'm about to show, editing the results normally means new track, route MIDI, hit record, wait through the whole pattern. MIDI Bounce turned that into one-click situation. So let's make some patterns, shall we? I went down a rabbit hole for the perfect sequencer or melody generator. Most third-party ones are either too much or too complex, unless you plan to jam for hours, never finish a song, and never shower again. But there are few exceptions. First one is Meridian, a not-so-classic Euclidean sequencer I use on daily basis. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any scale lock features, so I will need to scale lock it outside the device. But the coolest thing I like the most about this Meridian sequencer is obviously randomization. So first option to randomize is to press jam, and then it will basically scroll through different steps, rotation and events, and also randomize the notes. But if you are up to something even more random with more possibilities to have some happy accidents, this one is nearly perfect. Turns out I nailed the explanation of ping pong in this video. If you want to dive deeper, then watch it or just get it, press randomize and wait for something cool to happen. I need to admit, I was so into Live 12 MIDI tools, but after checking out most of them, they can overcomplicate things pretty easily. The one I can truly recommend is Commands, both for quickly extracting the bass notes from the chords like those. So once you set it to the lowest and then convert, voila, now you have your bass notes, or building new chord progressions. If your music theory knowledge ends at I once bought a Unison MIDI pack. For proper sound design, you don't need a lot more than stock tools. I proved this many times on this channel, in case you need another reason to subscribe. There are a couple exceptions, like the ones from BS Audio Tools. My favorite ones are Disintegrator, or rather Stank Phase Generator, or Wave Shaper, the proper one. I would also include Spectral Dynamics, although the execution of drawing the curve, or rather the frequency ranges, could be a little bit better, since for now it's pretty tough to manage. But you should not sleep on spectral compression though. So the things I can recommend is this free plugin, Nasco's Spec Comp, or its direct competitor made by iFeature. It's not that there are no more cool effects, but those are the ones that survive the longest as my daily drivers. I will include honorable mentions from my previous videos in description. And the same thing goes with utility devices. I used to let Max for Live manage everything, but Ableton Live Fast Item Loader Max is the one that stayed. Let's, for example, I would want to save this Spectral Dynamics with this obnoxious EQ curve. Now group it, then save it as a really weird rack I'll never use. And now just drag and drop it into Afil Max folders. Let's go with, I don't know, maybe mastering. Once I open Afil Max again and then refresh it with this button, our really weird rack appears here. And it will both appear in new and old session as long as you have Ableton Live Fast Item Loader on. Another one I supported since day one is VariSpeed. And yeah, it kinda speaks for itself. When I first saw this device, I thought someone turned my old Ultimate Utility rack into a Max for Live device. But honestly, it is better. First thing is that it has fully working phase correlation meter directly inside the device, your usual suspects for controlling phase and volume. It even has a tail DQ. But it also has a literal lifesaver for your ears, which is this auto mute button. Without this mute button, you can still hear the delay even if you press the stop. But with auto mute, it basically cuts automatically. If you made it this far, you are probably wondering how I got my Ableton Live to look like this. It's the Deafman Skin Bundle. The installer looks a bit sketchy, but let's be real. You've installed worse things for music production on your daily drive. It makes a copy of Live with all the skins and an optional custom font. Not every skin is perfect, but there is a plenty in there to impress your friends. I've included links to all the devices in the description. If you want to get more in depth into each one, then